I do really believe 100% from every part of me that everyone has the capacity to be able to do the things that they want and not to be held back by the mental baggage that's in our head that we want to push through.
Welcome to the Do the Thing podcast. In each episode, we get down and personal with people who go after the things they want to make all their wildest dreams come true. Join us as we unveil and dissect a formula for what it takes to do the thing. Here is your host, Stacey Lauren.
I'm so excited. We're talking to Sam at SUP Pups today. So I met Sam when a friend of mine told me about her learning to paddleboard with her dog. And I was so intrigued about the fact that someone actually gives lessons to paddleboard with your dog. So I went ahead and arranged a lesson for my dog and myself. And when you pulled up, Sam, in your van, and it had all the branding of SUP Pups and the dog on the paddleboard, I was like completely just in awe of just like that whole experience of what it had to take you to actually like get to the point where you started this business of paddleboarding with your dog and being able to do that. So I would love to just kind of like unpack that and have you just first of all introduce yourself and then tell us a little bit about your story.
Okay. Yeah. It's definitely taken a while for me to get where I'm at now. But so I'm Samantha or Sam. Most people just go by Sam. It's easier. I am from Arizona, and I grew up at a very, blessed childhood where my dad and stepmom, they would take us to the lake every weekend in the summer. So I grew up on the lake, and then we would do the sand dunes in the winter. And so just very adventurous and getting out there in nature. And I instantly fell in love with just being on the water. I just love being on the water. It just gives me peace. Just the smell and it just instantly makes you a happier person. And so I've always been drawn to that. And growing up as well, I've always loved animals, especially dogs. I begged to get my first dog when I was like 4 years old. I was like, I want my own dog. I kept begging my parents. And so growing up in Arizona, I played volleyball in college, and through a couple injuries through volleyball and through some other activities, it started to wear on my body. So I retired volleyball and mainly focused on my schooling and kind of what I want to pursue. And I started to realize I've always wanted to travel. I was never given that opportunity. So I thought a tourism degree would kind of fit with what I want. I still wasn't sure like what I wanted to do, and finished my schooling and moved out to San Diego. San Diego has always been kind of a staple in my life. Every year as a kid, my dad and stepmom also brought us out to San Diego for an entire week in the same week of July. And we stayed at Campland by the Bay, which is like an RV resort. And I knew I wanted to end up in San Diego. I knew it. I didn't know how or, how it was going to happen, but I just knew it. So after college, my last semester, I actually had to obtain a entry-level job or an internship within your degree. So when I came out to San Diego, I was like, okay, well, gosh, I want to work on the water. What can I do on the water? And as kids going to the lake, we had jet skis. And so I found this company on Harbor Island, and they do jet ski rentals and tours. And then they also have paddleboard rentals and kayaks. And never really been on a paddleboard before. But to me, when I did get on it, it felt like I was on a boat. but you don't have to pay for the boat. You don't have to pay for gas or the boat or itself, but you're on your own little mini boat, and you can go out whenever you want, and you can just, I was so drawn to it. And so one beautiful thing about getting this job is the couple who owns the company they're older. They're a lot older. I think they're probably in their 60s. And so with the technology today and the marketing and social media and YouTube and everything, they didn't know. So when they took me in, I pretty much taught myself on how to run a small business. I didn't go to business school. I didn't go to marketing. I didn't do any marketing classes, which I wish I did. But having that job, it really forced me into learning on how to do these things. And they gave me free range. They're like, go for it, And that's how I started learning management skills and working with employees and everything like that. And so that was really cool for the business side of what I do now. And that's kind of how that developed. And then when I got on the paddleboard, they wanted to offer lessons. And I always think if you're going to teach someone something, you should have credentials. You shouldn't just, I'm really kind of stern with that. And because you want to be right, you want to have the knowledge. So I did a 2-day course with WPA. And so I became a certified paddleboard instructor. And I started taking my dog, Jack. He is the love of my life. He is a rescue. I got him when he was about 2, so that makes him about 12 or so now. He is the sweetest thing you'll ever meet. And unlike your dog, Sweetie. Oh my gosh. That's why I think I fell in love with Sweetie as well, because she reminds me of Jack. And so I took Jack out on the water, and he loved it because he's like, I used to call him like a dingo, but he's really like a chow mix. He loves to like hunt and just like observe. And so he took to it so well. And I was just, I'm that person where I want to go, if I go anywhere, like, can my dog come? And I was like, I thought maybe in college I'd want to start like my little boutique or something. So I kind of had that itch to maybe do something on my own. But this totally just changed it. And I started to think like, oh my gosh, I could start teaching people with dogs. And so I started SUP Pups as SUP Pups San Diego. And it started as a meetup. And I'd make flyers. And I'd promote it within the little company that I worked at. But it really was just kind of getting the process going and realizing like, okay, what is the best way to get the dog on the board? And through trials, I kind of started to realize like, okay, if I do it this certain way, by getting the human on and then the dog, they start, it's not as like traumatic or forceful experience for the dog. And then through doing the meetups and just kind of taking some people out that I kind of knew, depending on something that a dog would do, I would say, learning lesson right there. Okay, next time I'm going to do this way. And that is how I developed my lesson plan for SUP Pups. And it forever changes. Like, people, like I can explain how to do something for one person and it doesn't really click with them. So I've learned how to alter my verbiage to kind of help them understand in some way. And so from there, I felt restricted because it was more focused on jet skis and everything like that. And so this gentleman came one day with his dog, and he was like some cute little surfer guy, and he was delivering paddle boards. And I asked, hey, like, where do you work? And he told me there's this little paddleboard kayak rental company right in Liberty Station. And it's 2 gentlemen who own it, and they're actually looking for a manager. So I went to the guys and had an interview and kind of told them what I've been doing at the jet ski rental company. And they're like, oh my gosh, this is perfect. And then I also told them kind of what I've started with SUP Pups. And they loved the idea. They're like, oh, wow, I think this is perfect. The dog community in San Diego is huge. It's such a cute little niche. So they took me on as manager of their rental company, and they gave me free range to develop SUP Pups into like a legit program. And
that was within their business. So you had your own thing going on with the meetups, and then they're like allowing you to almost like kind of develop it within their system.
Yeah. So then I didn't have to go through all the legalities and the legal stuff. It was kind of, so at that time, it wasn't a business. It was just a program under their company. So I had free range, but everything that was taken in went through them, and then they paid me. Yeah. And which was a good thing to start off, because that's how I really kind of, I had the security and the safety of them, but I was able to kind of still learn the management skills. But then 5 years goes, and I realized how every year SUP Pups got bigger. Every year it got bigger, and when you just start developing passion within a scope of what a business could be, you want to, how do I, people ask for t-shirts, they ask for hats, they ask for all these things. And because, yes, the gentlemen, they helped me grow it, but I felt almost restricted because I couldn't go off and buy these things because it kind of had to go through them. And I felt almost stuck. And this was right before the pandemic. And I'm also that type of person where, I have a friend and wants help with oh, sure, I'll help you. Like, so I think at one time I had like 10 jobs, technically. I was just like, wow, every which way.
You're
and
hustling.
It was hindering. Yeah. And so I was always hustling. And I felt like SUP Pups was being hindered because I did not have the time and dedication that I wanted to put into it, because I was managing this other location. I was running a paddleboard warehouse. I also do one beautiful thing for SUP Pups and marketing is I worked for the owner of the rental company. He has a marketing company. So he took me on to help manage some of his clients' social media. So I kind of learned how to run and do social media through him, but I was running all these other accounts. And so I kind of just hit a wall, and I wanted to take SUP Pups, and I want it to be the vision that I've envisioned for so long. And so I sat down with both of them and I said, I'm like a little bird, and you got to let me spread my wings and fly. And, and I appreciate them so much. And they've always looked at me as family. And so I'm like, look, I'm still here. We can partner together, but I want it to be my own business. And so I took the huge leap, and most people have like a whole budget and kind of like a whole plan. And I just went for it. I separated from them. I got a lawyer to help me develop it as an LLC, developed my website, I developed a online booking system, rebranded, got a new logo, I had a Jeep at the time, literally just drove to a dealership and left with a brand new, big commercial van, all white, gutted in the back. And, at the time I was like, I don't know how I'm going to pay for this, but I'm going to do it because this is going to benefit my business. And then the pandemic hit.
When you went and got the van, like, what was that like? How did that decision happen?
So it also strained from, during this process of me feeling stuck and realizing, okay, what do I want to do with my life? I was also in a living situation where I was living by myself. The rent was astronomical. I had no storage, no space. So growing up in Arizona, we had trailers and RVs and everything. I called my dad and I said, Dad, I don't want to live where I am. I don't know what to do. I have this itch to do the whole trailer life. I think that would benefit me. And I could, in my head at that time, I was like, I could travel and do clinics for SUP Pups and everything if I have a trailer. So I actually bought a travel trailer in Arizona, brought it out to San Diego, and I live in it here, actually at Camp Land, which is my childhood vacation. But it's a pull trailer. So I needed also, you can pay for people to move your trailer for you. But of course, the way, I was raised, I'm very independent and I want to do it myself. And so what stemmed with that is I'm like, okay, now I need a vehicle that can pull my trailer. And so then I'm like, well, then if I have my own paddleboard company, I need a vehicle where if I have to transport boards, I want a vehicle that's big enough to do that as well. So that's amazing.
So you basically were able to use this as an opportunity to have a living situation and a business at the same time.
Yes. So I literally jumped in at the same time. I totally altered my life to live this whole trailer life. And then I totally altered my life and just started a business pretty much. Wow. I mean, granted, I have all the clientele and I have all the knowledge and the background. So it wasn't a huge transition. Granted, yes, now it's all on me. It's all of my decisions and I have to put all the back end work on it, but I felt so much better having a vehicle that will help support my business. But I literally just traded in my Jeep and got this van and, gas and the insurance and everything. And I was like, you know what? Having that hustle mentality as a kid, I was like, I will make it work. I don't know how it's going to work. I did the thing. I was like, I don't know how this is going to work. I don't know how I'm going to pay for this huge, van payment on top of the insurance, on top of the gas, but I'm going to do it because I know down the road it is going to be the best thing. And so with this van, when I bought it, it's a big white billboard. It's a huge white billboard. And I already, you see a big white van driving down the street. And it was the funny thing, being a woman, most people don't really, they see a big, commercial vehicle. They don't think like a little girl with blonde hair is driving it. So it was kind of funny because people would roll up to the van and they look and then it's funny. I'd see older guys, they look at me and they give me the head nod. They're like, yes. I'm like, thank so it was cool. Yeah. That's awesome. That was a really cool feeling, but I needed to get it advertised. I needed to have its free advertisement. It really is.
Oh my gosh, and it's amazing. You did your advertising, you got your living situation and a business all in this one decision. Yeah. I love it.
And then
okay, and then you were saying COVID hit. Yeah.
Yep. And so the one thing I feel because everyone, besides the health and, the sad thing that happened to all the family, everything. But when you look at the pandemic towards businesses or just a way of person's living, I've always hustled my entire life. I've worked every day of my life. It was either going to waitress or it was doing something. And so the pandemic kind of gave me this, I got to step back. And I was like, oh my gosh, I can actually live a calm life. I don't have to be rushing anywhere. And granted, at the time, working, the hard thing about a outdoor tourism business is it's seasonal. So no matter what, you're going to get most of your clientele in the summer. Then come winter, it's cold. And I'm also a niche. It could be December, sunny and kind of warm out, but you think, oh my gosh, the water is probably 40 degrees and no one wants their little puppy to fall in 40-degree water. So that was the hard part. So I always had waitressing or bartending to fall back on. And with the pandemic, all of that went away. So that was kind of okay, that was a kind of a realization, I don't have that to fall back on. So it was kind of pushing me more to put more of my efforts into SUP Pups and make it bigger because I don't have that other thing to fall back on. But the water was closed. Like here in San Diego, they shut the water for 2 months or something like that. So you couldn't even take a paddleboard or a kayak by yourself and go kayaking. Like the police would come pull you over and say you have to go home. But so I had that break, which was nice because then living in a trailer, I was actually like able to renovate my little trailer and paint it and make it feel more like a home. And then once the water started opening up, we all, hold the sanitation and the mask and everything. But for me, it almost benefited SUP Pups in a way because I call it the puppy pandemic. Everyone adopted puppies during the pandemic. And all of these puppies have social issues. They, they're not good around other dogs or something like that. Or they've been stuck in the house because, everyone's working from home. So these dogs are just staying at home all day. At one time, all the dog parks were closed. So people couldn't even go socialize their dogs. And so I started to see a huge influx where people, and I always like to get to know my customers and I ask about the dog and where they got him and everything. And everyone's like, oh, we just adopted him or da-da-da. And so I got a lot of amazing feedback from the pandemic because of that. So because all these dogs got adopted, and going out and paddleboarding gives a person a way. So if they have a very leash aggressive dog and, like it brings me to this story where this woman, she's from LA and she went to a kill shelter, got this pit bull they're about to put down. He is a sweetheart, but he's very leash aggressive. Any dog would walk by, it would like charge at that dog, and it being a pit bull gives it a bad reputation. So this lady called me and she's just like, hey, like I saw your thing. I think this is so awesome. I'm so stuck. I have nothing I can go do with my dog. And so I told her to come in the morning when there wasn't a lot of people. We got out on the board and this dog was the happiest thing I've ever seen. And other dogs would paddle by us and it was just wagging its tail. It did not care. And she was so happy at the end of it. She goes, oh my gosh, you just introduced an activity that I can do with this dog. And I'm like, and that's just having a small business, your success, someone's success it's however you want it. For one person, success could be how much money they have in the bank. For another success for someone, it could be, all the toys and the nice cars that they have. For other people, their success, like for me, honestly, my success is how I can simply change someone's life in my way. Like, I feel like I can change someone's life by giving them the confidence and the happiness of being able to go out, learn a new trade with their dog, where it's like they now are confident. Then they go buy their own board, or I'll help them try to find a board that fits them. And then these people go out all the time, and how they just tell me, like, Sam, like, because of you, I now can do this. Or, despite either the dog's disability, I've taken out a tripod dog, a deaf dog, a blind dog, despite the dog's disability or the human's disability, it gives people a purpose, and it gives them, like, oh, wow, if I can do this and I can learn something else and do this. And so for me, my success is the friends and the community that I have made doing this, and the amazing feedback I get, where it's like all the time people are like, oh, no, my dog won't do it. I don't think it will happen. Or they're too scared, or they hate the water, or I'm too overweight. I have bad knees. I won't be able to stand up. I won't do it. And I'm so patient, and I'm like, no, you can do it. Like, I'm your biggest fan. Like, I will be right here. I have been doing this for now like 10 years. I have seen everything happen because I have been out on the water with so many different people, so many different dogs. And I don't know, it's such a rewarding experience, not having, like, yes, having my own little business is awesome, but the feedback I get from people and how it can change someone's life or the dog's life in some little way, like, that is just the best thing, you know, and like meeting you.
And the impact that you're having, you know, and that's kind of where I was shocked that you actually give the lesson to the adult also. Like, for some reason I thought, like, because I had a rough idea on paddleboarding, like I've stood on a paddleboard, but I never like got a lesson, you know, and you're like giving me a lesson and then also my dog a lesson, which I was like really surprised about that. And then the other thing that I love is, like you're saying, people have such a special connection with their dog, you know, like where, like either how they got the dog, like my mom even just recently got a dog, and this dog is like getting her out, right? So now it's like she went from being, you know, COVID inside to like she's walking the dog every day and doing things, and I think we all, us dog people, you know, we end up like, it's almost like the dog is like part of this like amazing thing that brings out like the best in us, you know? And with my dog, Sweetie, you know, she had an embolism. I call it a stroke because people don't know what embolism is, like 3 years ago. And since then I haven't been able to go hiking with her, which was one of my favorite things to do. And so for me, paddleboarding with her, it's just like you were saying about that other woman, it's just something different and unique. And she loves it, like as you saw. And it's so special. And I feel like, honestly, every day she's like, I feel like she's looking at me. Come on, Mom.
You know,
go back in the water.
Yeah.
And you're so patient and you're so confident and your energy is so like contagious that it just gets you to like, you know, really like feel like you can do it.
It helps your dog with like, to me, it's almost like therapy because they're standing, they're stabilizing themselves, they're mentally stimulated because they're looking at the birds. And then for you, it's not as hard on your joints. So a beautiful thing at paddleboarding is it can be any age. I've taught from a 6-year-old kid all the way to an 85-year-old woman. And I got her to stand up and paddle. And it really, you know, it's for how, there's paddleboarding, but if you really look at it, it gives people, you know, a way to get outside, be with nature. It's not as harsh on your body. You have a bonding experience with your dog. And it's just, that's why to me, SUP Pups is more than just a paddleboard lesson. It's giving people an opportunity to learn a new hobby that they can do the rest of their life. It's really, and then they can just be with their dog. For me, I have just this high hope and this vision of what my life could be and how rewarding of what I do is. And yes, it's, it's tiring and it's a lot of work. And there's always this pressure, especially with social media now, like, of everything you can do to get yourself out there. And, you know, Instagram has been a huge, huge help for my business because a lot of dogs now have their own Instagram and people want to get amazing photos. So that's going back to, yes, not only do I provide you with a paddleboard lesson, I'm teaching you more knowledge, I'm helping your dog become more comfortable, but everyone wants photos, everyone wants videos, and everyone's sharing on social media now. And it is huge. A lot of my clients, I ask, how did you find me? It's all Instagram. A lot of it is Instagram.
Wow.
And it's, you know, or this one lady, she said she looked through hashtags. She did hashtag dog friendly San Diego and then found me through that.
Wow.
So
I was wondering,
social media,
are there any other dog paddleboarding lessons like anywhere else that you've seen?
So there is a lady in Florida and she actually wrote a book, How to Sup with Your Pup, and gives all the insights and all the tips and everything. I believe she does clinics. I don't know if she actually does like the one-on-one lessons. She might. Yeah. But I know
that's what
she's
I think
fun,
is
like
so
her.
Cool. Yeah, that's what I think is so cool is how you, like, when you started this, it was like, it's just like you were a trailblazer in it. You know what I mean? Where it's like you just literally like went for it. And now the momentum's starting to build. And I think social media is kind of proof of that, right? Because it's like now you're growing in that way. And I love how you took that first job as an opportunity. I think some people might have been in that situation with the older couple where you're doing all the stuff for them, you know, and some people could have been negative about it and been like, why do they have this business? And I'm doing everything. And instead you looked at it as like a learning opportunity, you know, where you were able to then learn basically how to run a business, which is now what's helping you run your business, you know?
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. And it's everything's learning and everything is ever changing. Social media is ever changing. You know, our world is ever changing, and it's how you adapt to that to benefit yourself. It's meeting, you know, what the client wants, and that's really what it is, and giving them the best experience and trying to change their life in some way. So it's very, very rewarding. And then for me, it's how I meet all the amazing people in my life, you know, like you, Stacey, like it's really cool to like just meet these people. And then you never know how you're going to help each other out in some other way, you know, like it's like you're kind of helping me with Amazon. Like it's a really cool dynamic and meeting, you know, because we're all outdoorsy people and we love our dogs. And that's, you know, who you want to be around with. So yeah.
Finding your people and your dogs. Yeah, I totally agree. Okay, so question for you. Thank you. This is like amazing, and I'm so inspired by you. Just from the moment you walked up and I saw your paddleboard and like the whole thing. I think it's just like so.
Thank you.
It's like the embodiment of doing the thing. So I'm like so glad that we were able to talk. So okay, Super Bowl's coming up now, and what is it, next weekend? I think.
No, it's this Sunday.
This weekend.
It's this weekend.
Okay, so I'm not going to ask you. I'm not going to ask you who you want to win, but I am going to ask. let's say your life had a Super Bowl in it. What would that Super Bowl represent?
Probably the end of summer for me. Like it would either be like, okay, so I'm going to have two. So it either would be like the end of summer. Like when it comes to the end of summer, you look back at like, you're like, wow, that was like nonstop. And I just went out there and I did the best I could. And, you know, and how rewarding it is. Because come winter, then I start to slow down and I can kind of start working on new ideas and new events and everything. But the end of summer, that's like, you're like, wow, like I did it. I killed it. I did it. I made it through, you know, I mean, there's some years I'll get a couple of injuries or something, but at the end of the day, you made it. Or it could be when I finally break through and overcome a fear that I had about the business. So right now, like an instance, I'm branding my own dog life jackets. And I went on Alibaba. I found a really good life jacket. I got my logo on it. And I'm like, oh my gosh, now same thing. I just did the thing. And I dropped $6,000 and got over 500 dog life jackets made and shipped to me. And now I have all these dog life jackets and now I need to start selling them. So like the little mini Super Bowl was like, I did the thing and I just did it and I got the dog life jackets. Now it's like, okay, now Sam, you got to put them on your website and start selling them and doing like that. So for me, it's like I have little mini Super Bowls where it's once I know I've been wanting to do something and then it finally happens and it starts going well, then I'm like, okay, you know, I'm like, I got it. Like same with hiring. I've always wanted to hire. I've always wanted to train and hire someone and I never did it. And then once Jamie got on, I'm like, oh my gosh, cool. Now it steps me into this realm of like, now okay, Sam, you can do this. You can keep going, and it's because you get those times where it's late at night and you're stressed out and you're just like, oh my gosh, like, should I just quit everything and go work at Costco? Like, it'd be so much easier just to like go to work and come home and not have to think about it, or like this morning, I loved it. This morning, I texted my boyfriend. I said, happy Friday. Cause he works Monday through Friday, 8 to 5. He's like, happy Friday, babe. I'm like, but it's not like, to me, I don't have a Friday. Like, to me, this is like, okay. I'm like, all right, prep for the weekend, Sam. Cause you have it's heating up here and
so much to do.
So much to do, and I'll be on the water the entire time, and it's physically exhausting, but I love it, and it's
well, I think what's cool is that $6,000 you just spent on Alibaba, like now, because you've built this brand, of this of SUP Pups, now you've just scaled, right? Like once you get your first sale, and I'm sure you're going to get easy sales from people that are like, you're paddleboarding with the dog, like live, those will be like the easy ones. But when you get your first website sale or Amazon sale or whatever, then it's like, oh my gosh, now I just need to repeat that, and it's almost like you've now created this whole revenue stream, outside of the day to day, which is so cool,
Yeah. Yeah. And just learning like how to get, that like consistent income with not really doing as much work, because what my job is, it's physical work. It's taking people out. It's spending time. It's doing that. And that's how I make the money. But how can I make SUP Pups successful where it does carry me all year round, where I'm not making all my money in the summer and then I'm barely making anything in the winter? What can I do to branch out my brand, get it out even more? And that's products. It's having products and being able to sell those products and, setting people up with the proper products, like a really good dog life jacket. That is honestly key. It doesn't matter if your dog knows how to swim or not. Life jackets are for safety, to pull the dog up properly so they're not choking or they're safe out there. I've seen a gentleman fall on top of his dog before. You never know what's going to happen. And then it's the fun items. Like I have I don't know if I told you, but I have a dog trucker hats with my logo on them, and people love it. They're like, this is the cutest thing ever, and it's getting the community excited and being able to keep promoting my brand in other ways. And that is products and life jackets. I want to do dog bandanas, grand scheme of things. Gosh, the best thing I could do is actually build and brand my own paddleboard, where it's a SUP Pup paddleboard. That's a whole nother ball game though, like warehouse and getting like that is. But so many people, because they'll learn and they're like, okay, well, what's the best life jacket for a dog? And what's the best paddleboard? Like, what should I go do? What should I go get? And if I can provide all of that already for them, like that, like the ultimate way to set someone up to SUP Pup and just live their life and go out paddling with their dog is by providing the best products for them.
So definitely. And when you don't have to, when they trust you already, and they trust your judgment, it just makes it, it makes it like totally easy just to be able to like have them do that, Yeah.
Yeah. So. But yeah, it's a good thing. They already trust me. So.
Yeah, we just documented the moment that you did the Alibaba purchase. So I'm excited because now.
Yeah, thank you.
Now we'll see. Well, now I have to ask more about that. Sorry, I know I said 30 minutes.
No,
so
you're
I'm gonna try
good.
to still keep it.
You're
tight.
good.
But when you did the $6,000 purchase, what went through your mind? Were you like, why am I doing this? Or I can't do this? Or were you just excited? Like, was there anything that was like holding you back and then you had to overcome, like, to do that?
I was excited, but also kind of nervous just taking that money that I usually have as a cushion, for payroll and to carry me through my winter. And I just took that money and just spent it on the life jackets. And again, it's just doing the thing. Like, I don't have an ROI and a spreadsheet and a budget of like, okay, this is how everything's going to happen and this is how it's all going to lay out. I'm like, nope. I literally just did it. I just bought the life jackets. I'm like, and then they all arrived. I'm like, oh, okay. Now where am I going to put them? I have 500 life jackets. I'm like, shoot. Okay. Now I need to put them somewhere. So then I get a storage unit, but then I realize the storage unit isn't really working out and I'm just throwing away money. And then I, talked to my boyfriend. He has a garage. I'm like, look, like, let's work together, and it was like, let's just make this work, and then I'll figure something out. But it's just, honestly, when you're scared and you're like, I don't know if I can do this, I have just learned, and I know maybe that's just, some people don't think it's a smart thing, and some people don't, like I've had like my boyfriend or my friends be like, yeah, Sam, like, we just idolize like how you can just go and do it. And I'm like, it's scary, but I've just learned where if I want something, I will figure out a way to do it. And then I will try my hardest to keep up with it and not give up. And probably not the smartest decision to do that way, but that is how I was raised, to just go out, try your hardest, do it, and then figure it out. And it will, and life has a funny way. And if it doesn't pan out, then it wasn't meant to be. And you just learn and you move on from there. And that's what I'm at now.
Yeah, and I think you just like exemplified one of the key points of doing the thing, right? In certain situations, when you're identifying the risk, right? What's the risk? The risk is the $6,000, which I'm sure you probably were like, worst case, I'm going to sell these when people are taking lessons or whatever, right? Mm-hmm. And so once you identify what that risk is, then it's almost like all those other details in between, like your outcome and the risk, they no longer matter, because if you think about everything, like where am I going to put them and what's the ROI and all those things that you're mentioning, like then you're going to go into this analysis paralysis, where it's going to take you maybe 3 years, if not ever, to do it. And so like if the risk is greater, maybe it would be, more that you'd have to do. But I think that's a key thing, right? Is not overcomplicating and keeping it, not getting, like being able to just like go for it sometimes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because I think if people sit there and wait out for so long, then they just end up not doing it. Mm-hmm. So yeah, and it's just, I have done something but I've learned like some things with, your business. Like I was like, oh, like, this cute little company in San Diego, they make dog ponchos. I'm like, oh, that's awesome. I love that idea. So when dogs get off the water, if they're cold, they can buy a poncho. But yeah, it didn't really pan out. I wasn't really selling them as much as I thought. And I'm like, okay, lesson learned, Sam. Don't do that again. You don't need to buy these again. Just tell people about them. It's like, or it's not, I'm so used to working with other companies where I'm starting to learn, like, instead of getting with a dog life jacket company and working with them, I'm like, no, Sam, get your own. Promote SUP Pups. Promote yourself. Don't promote this other business. Promote yourself. So same thing with like the ponchos. I was looking at like dog robes, and I can actually brand my own dog robes where, a dog leaves and they're cold. There is this little cute little robe that they can wear, but it's promoting SUP Pups. It has my business on it. So, and it's learning how to trust yourself more, and how, if you're going to start a brand, it's what can you do to put your name on these items or this service or anything, and it's really just promoting yourself. And I've learned that with social media, people will contact me thinking I'm an influencer, or they're like, hey, I have this inflatable paddleboard. If we send it to you, will you send us videos and content and all this stuff? And I'm like, but my brand, I'm like, no, it's starting. I need to focus more on promoting myself and promoting the business, not your company. I'm like, you want to work together, and you do want to do that. But, I don't want to promote a cheap inflatable to someone who has a dog and they're not going to be comfortable on it. And so I have to do what's best for my customers and how I'm going to promote SUP Pups and who I'm going to work with. And I'm learning that as well. And so it's all every day you learn and you evolve. And so I make a to-do list every day and I try my best to accomplish what's on that. And just trying to trust the process, and that's really what you can do is trust the process and try to, don't be too hard on yourself. I think being a small business owner and just going out and doing it, you have to not be so hard on yourself because that will hinder you if you are too hard on yourself, and find the good in everything that you're doing and just keep working and picking at it every day is really what you can do. And for me, I get that rewarding experience when, someone comes and they're like, this isn't going to happen. This isn't going to work. And I end up, they're leaving with a smile on their face and they didn't think they would stand up. And they're like, they didn't even go in the water. Like, this is amazing. I'm like, yeah, like it's a really amazing experience going through this. It's very stressful, but it's a very amazing opportunity that I have been giving myself to just go and do it and just try your hardest. So.
Well, you've inspired me. I didn't even know about the inventory thing. I know we talked about Amazon a little, but I didn't realize you made the plunge too. So I'm excited now to be a part of this journey.
Yeah, yeah, me too. Thank you.
Yeah, that's cool. And then was there anything that I didn't ask that you wish I asked?
Not that I can think of. I feel like I've just been talking your head off, but I love, I think we've covered it all. Yeah. And it's just, I'm hoping, someone listens to this, it gives them a little bit of motivation and cause I came from, a mom who was a waitress and we didn't have a lot of money growing up, and she's always just empowered into me where just go out and do it. Just try your best and, it will all pan out in some way. And, the fact that I am able to help bring a smile to someone's face and I get to hang out with puppies all day. And to me, every dog is a puppy. To me, they're all, and it's a really, really awesome thing. And, if you have a passion, go for it. Life is too short and you should not, and I've learned through all the different weird side jobs I've had, is not worth it to be in a job that you are miserable. And if you are not enjoying it, this is your life. This is your life. It's your one life. And if it's not bringing you happiness, then it's just not worth it. And if you have to eat ramen for a whole month because you're putting your money into something that is bringing you happiness, to me, that's worth it. So I really hope it helps.
Amazing. Yeah, thank you. I love that. And why don't you go ahead and share your where people can find you if they want to learn more about SUP Pups?
Yeah. So to get the ultimate photos and videos and seeing what I do, Instagram is probably your best way, and it's just SUP _pups. That where you can see, all the different dogs, and I've kind of explained these 2 golden retrievers, they just kept swimming the whole time and it's just a really cute platform. And then my Facebook is SUP Pups as well. And that's where if you are in San Diego, and those are more where I post all the events and that we're doing. And my website is suppups.com. And by the end of the month, all my inventory will be on the website. I have made it my to-do list that it will all be set in stone on there. And then feel free. If even if you're not in San Diego and you want to paddleboard with your dog, I had a lady she'll never travel here. She wants to do it with her dog. So I literally got on the phone with her for over an hour and talked her through a lesson in her living room on a board.
Oh my God.
She had a little inflatable and I walked her through a lesson. And honestly, she's like, I didn't charge her anything. I'm like, look, Because to me, I'm like, or just write a good review for me on Google. Like, it really doesn't matter. For me, it's just the positive feedback, people sharing with their friends. And I'm here to help. I'm here to help. And I want people to be able to find hobbies that bring them happiness. And, because I'm not about going out and drinking and doing all that. Like, I just love being outside. And if I can be with my dog, like, dogs are the best thing in the world. They really are. And I'm sorry, my friend's dog just passed away. So it's just very, very sad. So, and it just makes you realize how precious life is, and your dogs they're always there by your side. And so if we can help get them out and do something, sorry, it's loud. There's a loud plane. So if we can get out and be with our dogs and be out, and like, blue water therapy is a thing. Being out on the water is therapeutic. It really is. And in the time that we live in and the pressures people live through every day and being in technology all day, like, you want an opportunity to unplug and just be present in the moment. Everyone has their ways, but to give it a try and go out on the water with your dog, or even just going out on the water, it is life-changing. So.
Thank you so much, Sam. I'm just like sitting here just in awe of you. So I appreciate
you're so sweet. Yeah, of course. I enjoyed it. Thank you for helping me.
Yeah, thank you. And I will be seeing you next week.
Oh, I'm excited.
Thank you. Yeah,
you're welcome.
Thank you so much.
And I
really appreciate you doing this.
Of course. I hope you have a good rest of your day.
You too. Bye.
Okay. Bye.
Thanks for listening to the Do the Thing podcast. We hope you enjoyed the show, but even more, we hope you'll be inspired to do the thing. Do you have a burning question on doing the thing that you'd like answered? How about an inspiring do the thing story of your own that you'd like to share? We'd love to hear all about it. Just leave us a voice message at dothething.callcast.co or email us at hello@dothethingpodcast.com.